Good afternoon. I'm Dennis, and thank you for showing up to the mat today. I'd like to do some yoga here primarily for men's mental health and their physical health and their mental and physical well-being combined. When we get older, we put on this facade of being the tough guy or the guy that just doesn't want to deal with everyday life and everyday emotions, and sometimes we just need that little time to break away for ourselves and give ourselves that kind of care that we need to show our truth and our love and our life to our family and friends. So the brighter you shine, the more they're going to notice. Most of our postures will be seated today, and we will begin in a seated posture. So raise your arms on an in-breath to the sky, and then place your left hand to the mat, and bring your right hand over, and open up that right rib cage, the right side. Just breathe into it. And remember, everything that was at work today is still at work. It's not here. It's just you and your mat and your breath. And your breath is a guiding force through yoga and mindfulness. Remembering never to hold your breath and always just focus on the here and now, not what we're about to do. Because the pose that we're going to get in is, we're already in it right now. Take a big breath in, nice big long stretch, and then back to straight up and down. Breathe in again, raise the arms, place the right hand on the mat, and then the left hand over. Open up that left side and feel that fascia. Not like it's ripping, but it's just really being pulled from every different direction, from the top and from the bottom. And just focusing on how that feels and breathing energy into that area. Not very often we get these late June and July days where it's only 84 degrees outside at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but I'm taking every bit of advantage of it as I can. Take a big breath in and reach over, back, just straight up and down. Let's take your feet, take your right foot, and place it as close to your left hip as you can. Now you can take your left ankle and place it over your right knee. And breathe in, reach up, and then let's twist to the right. And just breathe into this. On your inhale, lengthen the spine, and on exhale, twist the shoulders just a little bit more. Turn your gaze back to the front. Now keeping the feet just as the way they are. Breathe in. Raise your arms straight up. Now twist to the left. And you can hook that knee. Giving the upper to middle torso a nice little twist. You've been sitting in a vehicle all day, or a forklift, or at a desk, or if you've just been picking up boxes of tile or whatever it may be. Pretty much guarantee you wasn't twisting when you were doing it. So let's take this opportunity to kind of wrench all those muscles, kind of wring them in a direction that you haven't done all day. Turn your gaze back forward. Readjust your feet to straight out. And a big breath in, reaching up with your legs straight out, a seated forward fold. You can reach over and grab the bottom of your feet. Or just grab your ankles. Just whatever you can do. Just remember we're relaxing into this, heating the body up just a little bit. Remembering to breathe in and out. To focus on the breath is to become one with the body. And the present moment. A nice breath in, bring your spine back to erect, straight up. Let's take your left foot, bring it up under your right hip as far as you can. Remembering to keep your ankles engaged. We don't want any damage to the outside areas of the knee. Take that right foot, place it over the knee. Breathe in, reach up, and then exhale to the left. Just focus on that middle spine, nice little twist. You don't want to twist from the bottom of the spine or the top. You can roll your shoulders open, your left shoulder. And remembering to breathe, inhale, extend the spine. And on your exhale, you can twist just a tiny bit more. Where they call football is the game of inches, yoga is the game of centimeters. Too far is usually too late. Turn your gaze back forward. Breathe in. Keep your feet the same direction. A nice big breath in, reach up, and then twist to the right. And hook that right knee with your left elbow. You'll feel this twist just a little bit lower on that bottom left side of your spine. And just focusing on your breath. And whatever beauty is around you. It could be your plants, it could be the sound of the wind, the chimes. Turn your gaze back to the front. Reach your legs back out forward. I'm going to swing around to a tabletop position. And do a couple of cow cats. On a breath in, you're going to sink your navel to the mat. Tuck your toes or untuck them, whatever's comfortable. I like leaving mine tucked. But on your in-breath, you breathe in and push your navel to the mat. And you exhale, round your back. And you in-breath. Bring it down. You exhale, push your back up. Round the shoulders. A couple more of these. Inhale. And then exhale. Push your back up. I'm going to push up into a plank position. And for a modified plank position here, if you're not very adapt to doing these yogi push-ups, a yogi push-up is not just a regular, drop in plank and then do push-ups. A regular yogi push-up is you'll tilt forward on your toes and then your elbows will shave the side of your ribs all the way to the mat. And you push up into upward facing dog and then back into downward facing dog. Take that right foot, extend it up in the air and bring it forward and place it on the front of the mat. And drop that left knee to the mat. And we're going to sit here and open up these hips as much as we possibly can. If you want to roll your right foot a little on its side to kind of sink into it a little more, you can. You can come all the way down to your elbows if that's good. If not, just stay up where you're at. And remembering to breathe. Some of these poses can get quite demanding. So remember, I like to think of things at around a 40% when you first get into the pose. You go too far and then you want to back out, and then you really don't want to get back into it. So just focus on what feels good for your body and your mind. If you're down on your elbows, come back up to your hands. And bring that right foot back into a plank position for another yogi push-up. Tilt forward on your toes and exhale down. Inhale cobra or upward facing dog, and then push up into a downward facing dog. Take your left foot, extend it up to the air, then bring it all the way forward to the front of your mat. Go ahead and drop your right knee. Untuck your right foot, right toes. You can roll that left foot onto the side blades. And just sit here and breathe into this. This nice lizard lunge pose. If you want to sink a little further down, challenge yourself just a little bit more. Like I said, some of these poses can get quite challenging. As you're sitting in them, the mind is beating you up. Kind of reminds me of an old Zen parable of it's a beautiful village on top of a mountain that became aware of an imminent attack from another clan from down at the bottom of the mountain. So they had this giant golden statue that they always meditated and prayed to every evening. So they covered it with mud and dirt and leaves, sticks. And as it went on, a few days later, eventually they were attacked. And all the men and children that stayed around were either taken prisoners or they were murdered, and the village was no longer. Nobody was there. Well, many years later, somebody set roots there, and the village became large again. But one day the Zen monk was out at the top of the hill trying to meditate. He couldn't meditate. He was trying and trying. He finally got so frustrated, he had a stick in his hand, his stick and these pebbles, these rocks in his hand, and he's holding these rocks and trying to meditate to them. And still nothing worked, and he become frustrated and threw the rocks to the side. Well, one skipped and hit this clump of mud, and something shiny came from that heap. It was very bright, golden shine. So he got up and he walked and he looked. He started peeling back the mud and the leaves to reveal a giant, beautiful, golden statue. So that's what we're doing in these poses. As we get covered up along the paths of life with work and stress and everything else, we become covered up with all these sticks and mud and leaves of life. And we need to start slowly peeling away all of that. So come back up to your hands, kick that left foot back, and then drop the knees to the outside edges of the mat, toes to touch, and child's pose. Reach your hands out as far as you can, and focus on your breath. Each in-breath, feel your thighs push into your belly. And when you exhale, feel your hips fall back towards your feet. In-breath, come up to tabletop. And then into a plank pose. And we're going to do a plank on the right side. A modification is to drop your right knee and lay your right foot to the outside of the right of your mat. And you sit here in plank pose. If you'd like to go into the regular plank pose on the right side, just simply extend that right leg. And don't collapse on that right shoulder. Sit here and simply breathe into those abdominals. Feel that hand, that right hand pressing firmly into the mat, that left hand reaching high in the air. Nice big in-breath in, reach up, then exhale to forearm plank on the left side. You can modify it by dropping your left knee or just extend it out. And breathe into those abdominals. Bring it down all the way into a forearm plank. And as you're engaging into this, imagine taking your elbows and pulling them back towards your toes and engaging that core. Come back up into a plank position. Now this time we're going to roll to our left side, to the left plank. You can modify by dropping that left knee, or just stay here in full plank for as many breaths as you can handle it. Big breath in. Extend your right hand all the way down to your forearm. Forearm plank on the right side. You can modify by dropping that right knee and setting that right foot off the mat if you like. Come down the forearm, full forearm plank for the count of 5 breaths. Here's 1 and 2. The breath of 3. That belly's shaking, it's okay. For 4. And for 5. Now release all the way down to the mat. Push up into cobra, upward facing dog, and then eventually back into downward facing dog. Gently walk your knees all the way to your hands. Let's roll over onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest. Hug them together. And lay your both knees towards your left with your right arm extended out to the right. You can face your gaze to the right. You can place your left hand on top of your right knee for a little added pressure. Big breath in. With the aid of your left hand, pull your knees up. Reset that spine. Now roll to the right. And just breathe into those. The aid of your right hand, bring your right knee back up. Reset your spine for our final pose, shavasana. Just lay your legs out long. Relax, flat on your mat. With your palms facing up. Gently shut down the eyes. And go back to your normal breath. Feel the breath coming in and out through the nose. Pay close attention to that tiny little space between the breaths. And the equanimity of the in-breath and the out-breath is what we need in life. It helps balance us. We need that equanimity between our physical being and our mental being. And trust me when I tell you, as a man, a father, a brother, and a husband, and a grandfather now, the actions are the inactions of my mental and physical being will definitely reflect onto my family and my friends. And gently roll over to your right side. as if you were laying on a sofa. Take your left hand, lay it back behind your back. This is opening up your truth, your sattva. Your truth is the only thing that you will take to your grave. And from that truth, it depends on what happens to you after that. The aid of your left hand, push back up into a seated position. I'd like to thank you for showing up to the mat today. Thank yourself. You can bring your hands to prayer. If you'd like to bring them to your third eye, you can. The light and the love in me honors and respects the light and the love in you. Namaste.